Hello, I'm Professor Lieu. Welcome to our live stream. Today, I'm going to be talking about best practices for teaching art online that can be applied to any topic and secondary, middle school, and high school teachers. If you would like to grow as an artist and you can't afford an art class, we've got everything you need here at Art Prof, critiques and tutorials. Today's stream, the way I formatted the content is that we're not going to talk about specific platforms because what I have observed is that every single school and school system has a completely different set of rules for what teachers can or cannot do. So what I would like to do is talk about different ways you can think about remote learning so that it doesn't feel like such a difficult situation, which it understandably is for many, many teachers. And the thing is, a lot has changed since March 2020, which is basically when in the US, all the schools shut down and everybody had to go remote. And so in March, I published this video, which is 5 tips for teaching studio art online. But the thing is, so much has changed since then. And people have had a little bit more time to step back and look at the situation and figure out what's going on. But there's still a lot of confusion about how to do things. And I know people are very stressed out and frustrated. A lot of people have already started school, so people are knee deep into it. But I can tell you guys, even though I'm not teaching at a school this semester, I definitely have been observing some of the things that teachers are having trouble with. I've been doing research to figure out how people can apply different practices to make things easier, because this is a challenge. I mean, as a teacher, I've never seen anything like this across the board. And so basically today's stream, it's an update from the content that we've had earlier, because I've had time to step back and observe and see what is working for people and what is not. The way that I have come to think about remote learning is to think about it in terms of translating between 2 languages. For example, if you want to translate the phrase thank you, that's pretty easy to do. In lots of different languages, there is literally a word that means thank you. But the thing is, translation's not always that simple. In fact, a lot of the times it's very complicated. So for example, if you have a Pablo Neruda poem, and it's in Spanish, and teachers, this is what you're being asked to do. They're basically saying to you, translate this into Japanese, but you've only been taking Japanese lessons for a week. And we know that when you translate something as nuanced as a poem from one language into another, there's a lot that's going to be lost in translation. I mean, it's almost to the point that by the time the poem is translated into Japanese, it's not really the same poem anymore. And so what I'm seeing is, I think one of the reasons people are so frustrated is they are trying to get a perfect, accurate translation of that poem. But you know what? You're not going to do that. Remote learning is a completely different beast, and you have to shift your mindset so you're not endlessly frustrated. And so what I'm going to tell teachers right now is that despite all the stress and the frustration and so many new things just being thrown at you with pretty much no support or resources for the most part, we have to find the silver linings. Because the thing is, teachers, if we sit around mourning what has been lost in translation, it's just going to be really, really depressing. And the thing is, this pandemic, you guys, it's not going away anytime soon, unfortunately. And so we need to think about ways to say to ourselves, you know what? Remote learning can work. It absolutely can. But you guys have to stop wishing that pigs would fly because they're not going to fly. And if you keep wishing that they did, you're going to be banging your head against the wall many, many times. So there's a couple hard truths that I want to put out there that I want people to stop trying to worry about. The first thing is that there is no object on this planet that is a camera, tripod, light, and mic all in one. If somebody out there wants to invent that, you're going to make a ton of money off of the teachers. But as far as I know, that has not happened yet. And by the way, those of you guys who are watching, let me know if you are a teacher. Tell me what level you teach, what topic you teach, and feel free to jump into the chat and ask me questions because I'm really here for you guys. The other thing to accept when you teach remotely, you're going to mess up. You just are. And that's fine. That's the way it should be. I would be shocked and think you were lying if you told me you were really doing an amazing job all the time. So just accept that you guys are going to mess up. And you guys have to take what you can get. And I know this sounds so depressing. And it sounds like, oh man, you have given up as a teacher and you are not holding your students to a high standard. But the thing is, the biggest danger with remote learning, and some of you guys who are students in the chat who are doing remote learning, tell me if you think this is true. I think that the danger of losing a student entirely is really high with remote learning in a way that it is not when you are actually physically in the classroom. And so what I mean by take what you can get is that I would rather a student retain 50% of what I teach than nothing. And that can happen with remote learning. The risk for that is extremely high. And so I think it's really important that you recognize anything that the students get, that's a win, okay? So don't be angry with yourself if they're not absorbing more. The fact that they're absorbing something, that is very, very important. Cool, we have a lot of teachers here in the chat. We have Jessica teaching drawing in a small college in Canada. We've got Fluffy White Owl, high school fine arts teacher in Oregon. We've got Pamela, freshman seminar in collage. And we also have AB Design teaching rendering and graphics to second-year theater design students. And this is cool. Kim is teaching art to adults at an arts nonprofit organization. And Zachariah, sorry, I can't say your name, says that some of the teachers set the same standard as they did while in school, and it was super stressful. Once my teachers backed down on workload and assignments, I actually learned. Well, thank you so much for saying that, because I understand why as teachers, we want to do the best we can, but this is a different beast. It's not the same thing. The other thing, teachers, nobody cares what your neck looks like, so stop worrying about it. Students, I know this sounds crazy, but a lot of teachers are very self-conscious about being on camera, and I was too when I first got started. And I literally have had people say to me, oh, my neck. And I'm like, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but the students don't care about your neck. So if you guys are worried about that, just don't worry about it. And the other thing I would say is that in March, back when I did that first stream, it really was emergency teaching. It was so abrupt. Nobody had time to do anything. And so really in March, I think what most people were doing were Band-Aid solutions. You just had to stop the bleeding, okay? And we did that. But the thing is, we can't do that anymore because there is the possibility that this could happen for another year. I mean, we have no idea how long this pandemic is going to be here. And so we can't do Band-Aid solutions anymore, teachers. We have to figure out long-term solutions because those Band-Aid solutions, they're not going to work long-term. They're going to leave you endlessly frustrated, and you're not going to have a streamlined system that is going to be sustainable. And that's so important because if we don't do that, we're going to get so burned out so fast. And I just think that we need to find a way to take care of ourselves and not go crazy, you guys. Here's another thing. This is another silver lining because I totally get some people are just so upset and frustrated, understandably so. And I know a lot of people feel very hopeless, like, oh my God, no matter what I do, this is going to be a bad experience. But here's the thing, you guys, okay? When the pandemic is over and we are back to quote normal into our physical classrooms, think about how much new stuff you guys have learned and retained from this remote learning experience. And I have to tell you guys, I would be shocked if nobody in education retained some of these online tools when they go back to the physical classroom. I bet you anything, there's some resource that you know about now that you didn't know about before, or maybe there's some online tool that you've discovered that, wow, this is a really effective way for students to communicate. I know some students are very shy, and I've actually had a lot of them say to me, listen, when I critique online, I don't feel so afraid to talk about that in class. And so maybe students who are watching right now, can you tell the teachers in the chat some of the benefits of remote learning? Because all we're really hearing right now, oh, is I can't do this, and this is very difficult, and this isn't working. We have to find the silver lining. So where are some of the places where it has been a benefit to live remotely? And very cool, we have a lot of teachers. We've got Rosa from Spain, very cool. We have Eugene teaching online for 15 years, started teaching music and instructional designer for a school in Arizona. And we have Mie, applied to teach arts and crafts at a high school in Mexico. I did well, but checking how the students are doing is hard. Yes, we are going to go over some strategies for how you guys can deal with that. And so the idea that you have to think about is that it's a ton of work right now. I know a lot of people are trying to figure out platforms. I'm helping people try to learn OBS, how to stream live. It's not a small feat, you guys. No matter how tech literate you are, there's a lot to go through. But the thing is, what you have to do is you got to learn it now. It's a lot of upfront work, but you know what? You guys are really going to reap the rewards later. You are going to see results. If anything, you're not going to lose your mind. And in my opinion, that is totally worth it. Yeah, like Fluffy White Owl is saying, the benefits are more content front loaded for next year. Yeah, like you guys are not going to ditch everything that's going on right now. You're going to keep some of that. And we have some students in here, they're saying, Tyler says being at home, high school is really far away. I needed to take public transport. Madeline is saying I had more time to create when I wanted instead of assignments I wasn't interested in. Neil is saying nowadays I type more than I talk. Having a positive online community has been fun, and it's also better because I don't have to deal with bullies. Thank you so much, students. I think it's really helpful for teachers to hear positive moments like that, so it doesn't feel like such a bummer all the time. And here's another silver lining, you guys. For the students, really what you guys are getting in some circumstances is an opportunity to get a jump start on skills you're going to be using when you get out of school, regardless if it's college or high school. Because here's the thing, guys. So much of professional life, no matter what field you're in, it's done online. And you guys have to know how to use these platforms. You need to know how to communicate through an email in a way that's not super confusing. And so you guys are getting a preview of some skills, which granted, a lot of you probably aren't ready to learn, but you're learning them now. And it's all going to help you guys when you get out of school. So by the way, you guys will see throughout this lecture, I'm going to be referring to specific videos on our YouTube channel, because this is a general practices video. And what I'm doing is sort of pushing you guys to think a certain way, but I have specific videos that really get down into the nitty-gritty of how things work. So how to photograph your artwork. This is a skill that honestly a lot of students never do when they're students. A lot of people wait until it's the very last minute and they have to throw together a website. And photographing your artwork, not only is it important, if you're taking an art class right now, let's say your art class has a group chat, your teacher wants you to post photos of your work. If you don't know how to take a decent photo, that's going to be hard for people to critique what you're doing. And so the other use is if you want to eventually have your artwork on social media, if you want to have an artist website, because these are not skills you guys are going to learn in 5 minutes. These are skills, it takes practice. You got to mess it up many times. You got to troubleshoot. Think about, how do I actually position things? How do I get the good results? And so this is a really big benefit that you guys are learning these skills early on. Let's talk about communication. And I would love to hear from teachers, what is hard about communicating? And students, what do you want your teachers to do? Because I think sometimes it's hard if you're in a teacher's class to criticize how they're doing things because you're worried, oh no, they're going to really mess up my grade or something. So what I like about the space we have here at Art Prof, nobody's being graded. You guys are not in each other's classes. And so you can really tell each other the real deal. So tell us your thoughts about communication, what works, what does not, because that's really helpful to know about. I would suggest really use email for only very particular situations. I would really try to avoid email because students, I'm sorry, you guys are bad at email. You guys, I could email you, it might be a month before I get a reply. I send you guys a text message. People are like apologizing that they took more than an hour to reply. So email is not that effective with students. So I would just say there are a couple circumstances where you really do need to use email. So I would say anything that's a very sensitive issue with a student, you don't want to have that in a group chat anywhere. And I feel better about it because also sometimes you need a paper trail, especially if it's Title IX or something that really is very sensitive. Definitely do that. And also sometimes it's an issue and you need to deal with the academic affairs department. Maybe the dean of student affairs needs to get in. Anytime there's other faculty and staff, I would definitely put it into an email because it can get really confusing really fast. I also think teachers, this is huge. And students, you guys can tell me if you think this is true. I think upfront, you have to show your students that you are reliable online, because I'm sorry to say, my feeling from what I've seen from talking to students is that students sort of don't believe that their teachers are reliable online, and they see teachers who are as the exception. And so you have to show them, you know what, I am online, I'm paying attention, I'm going to reply to you. A lot of students did not have that confidence in their faculty in the spring, and it was a real problem for a lot of students because they felt that they were not getting the information on time and they really had to hunt down their teachers. I don't think anybody likes that. So the important thing is, teachers, be prompt, okay? I think even 2 days is too long. I think definitely end of the day is what I would strive for. And I would check several times a day. I'm a little bit compulsive about it, but I think 3 times is pretty good, because people need stuff. Stuff right now for remote learning, it's pretty time sensitive. It really is not something that can wait around for a week the way it can in a brick and mortar classroom. I also think teachers, students really need motivational posts, because you know what? The students are stressed too. They really are. They're anxious about it. We're all anxious about it. Like, this is not isolated to just the teachers. And the students really need to know that you appreciate their efforts, that they're trying, and you need to tell them that. I would say a couple times, maybe a month, maybe more than that, you just jump in and you say in a group chat, hey guys, great job. Keep it going. I see that you're trying. I mean, of course, not everybody's necessarily going to be trying that hard. I mean, you're going to have some students that are going to slack off for sure, but I think students need to hear that. If you guys are a student, tell me if those motivational posts help you, because I know my RISD students really appreciated it when I did stuff like that with them in the spring. Yeah, like for example, Blue Wolf Spirit is saying giving encouragement lifts your spirits too, and the appreciation for it is lasting. Absolutely. Also, teachers, this sounds really dumb, okay? But you know what? It works. When you guys are talking to students in a group chat situation, use emojis, okay? Like, emojis are a whole other language. And my kids who are younger, they're like 11 and 13, they're always teasing me because like, you don't really understand what the meaning of the fire emoji is, and I would never use it in that context. So they take emojis very seriously, you guys. So if you use them, you're speaking their language, okay? And yeah, I know some of you are going to roll your eyes and go, what's the difference? It's just an emoji. It matters. I think it matters. I have seen results from that. So very, very important. Okay. Again, I am not going to talk about specific platforms because I just think there are too many factors that are going into people's situations. Like some schools are saying you can't use YouTube, which, by the way, I think is insane because it's an online library. I think that's crazy to limit YouTube. Or other places are like, you have to use Zoom or you may not use this. And so I'm not going to get into that because I think that's a waste of time. And I want to tell you guys what best practices will work in any platform. And then I do have videos on specific platforms like OBS and also Discord. And if you want to watch those, you absolutely can. We have some advice from AB Design. This is what works. Students thought outside of the box because they had to. There wasn't a student that had a quote block because they didn't get their foam core shipment yet. Yeah, I've heard that before for sure. And they're saying this is what did not work. The students that fell behind didn't reply to my communications, got lost quickly. There's no quote after class time to speak to them personally and catch them casually. Yeah, those casual encounters, unfortunately, are not. However, teachers, definitely reach out. If you see that a student really has sort of fallen off the face of the earth, I really recommend, if you can and if you can make the time for it, have a one-on-one phone call or just a voice call. Don't do any video or anything, and just be like, hey, how's it going? You don't have to tell them, oh man, you missed that homework assignment. And you might bring that up eventually, but just do like a check-in. Just see like, how's it going? Is remote learning working for you? Is there anything I can help? I mean, teachers, I sympathize. Remote learning is more work. It is not less work. And honestly, I think teachers need more flexibility from school districts and schools, not less. And I do feel that a lot of the schools are just trying to clamp down and make things even harder than necessary. Antonio is in Canada. They are saying, I'd like to know how to get more interaction with students when asking questions or start some open conversations. I'm going to get to that towards the end of the stream, but basically you have to have situations where people are live hanging out in a group chat. So for example, at Art Prof, we use Discord. And so after the stream, I'm going to go hang out in Discord. I'm going to say, hey, everybody come over with me, and everybody will be there and we'll be chatting. That's how you do it. It's got to be live, because if it's like Facebook where people leave a comment and then they leave, it's not very interactive. So I would definitely think about that. Okay, so use platforms for what they are actually made to do. Because here's what I'm seeing from a lot of people. Let's say, for example, you want to hammer these nails into this piece of wood, okay? Some people right now are basically saying, I could do that with a rock. Yeah, totally. And I'm like, yeah, you could, but it's not going to work very well. That's not the point of a rock. A rock is not meant to hammer nails into a piece of wood. And basically what I've spent a lot of time telling people is, guys, there's a hammer. It's right next to you. It's free. Pick up that hammer and use it instead of the rock. And people are saying to me, but I know rocks. I know what rocks do. I'm used to the rock. And I'm like, guys, just use the hammer. Like, the hammer is so much better. Like, yeah, you're going to have to learn how to hold it. You're going to have to learn how to use it. But ultimately, if you guys have to nail down 3,000 nails, you're not going to want to do that with a rock. You're going to want to do it with a hammer. And so I would really recommend you guys, you toss those rocks, okay? You need hammers right now. That's when it's going to get you guys through this situation. So here's what I'm trying to say, essentially, is that I'm seeing a lot of teachers, they're trying to use platforms for what they're not designed for. For example, Zoom, that's really a group call platform. It's not made or designed at all to be live streaming a hands-on demo. And yet I'm seeing a lot of people who are saying, oh, I found this workaround. And if I log in as another user, I can do this, this, and this. And sure, I mean, sometimes you can repurpose things. I see that. But it's like when you have YouTube and OBS and your district is allowing it, and there are many privacy settings you can set on, I'm like, why would you use the rock? This is a hammer. The hammer is so much better than the rock that's going on. Pamela is asking, how are you keeping the chat question on the screen? Cool way to keep students engaged. This platform that I'm using, this is actually called StreamYard. This is not OBS. StreamYard is like OBS in that it helps me stream to YouTube. Everything goes to YouTube, but I'm using StreamYard, and StreamYard is much easier in some ways, but it's also very limited. It's good for the chats. It's good for multiple guests on a stream, but it's nowhere near as flexible as OBS, and it's not good for live demos. So we use it for these more conversational streams that are going on. Okay, let's also talk about this. I have so many people I see on Facebook groups, and they're saying, oh, well, I have a PowerPoint presentation. I have the students type comments on each slide of the PowerPoint, and that's how we're doing our group chats. And I'm going, PowerPoint is not for group chats. PowerPoint, if you're a single person and you are lecturing to a group of 300 people, you use PowerPoint. That is what it is for. It is not for group chats, you guys, okay? Discord changed everything here at Art Prof. I have to tell you guys, before we were on Discord, I didn't feel that connected to our audience. Now I remember people's names. We talk about silly things. We have so much fun in the Discord. You guys who are in the Discord, and if you're not, shame on you, because that's where all the cool kids hang out. Tell everybody why the Discord matters, because it does enable connectivity that I think otherwise does not really happen. Fluffy White Owl says, is StreamYard like Loom? I have not used Loom before, so I can't comment on the technical sides of it, but StreamYard is amazing. It's the most user-friendly streaming software that I have ever seen. The only issue is that it's free, but if it's free, you have to deal with all these ugly logos. So if you want to be able to customize more things, you have to pay a monthly fee. But I don't know, maybe at some point I should do a stream on StreamYard because it's actually really, really helpful. Yeah, like Blue Will Spirit here is saying, so many people are making it much harder on themselves using the rocks that they know. And I get it, you guys. I mean, it's so much easier just to go along with what you already know, but it's like, just think about a couple weeks of discomfort for something that really is going to help quite a bit. Okay, so, oh my God, there's so many platforms that people are using, and it's so overwhelming. And really, you have to figure out, what does your district allow? Maybe they're being very clear cut about, you can use this, you may not use this. Some schools are like, whatever. So it depends on your situation. So I'm just going to tell you guys things that I think work across the board, and you can apply them to whatever platform you happen to be using. Whatever you guys use, and I do think most people have to use a couple platforms. I know if I were teaching right now, I probably would use Discord, YouTube, and Google Drive. You probably can't do fewer than that, okay? But the thing is, really try to consolidate, okay? If you can get rid of one of those platforms, you should, okay? And I think a lot of people, again, are like, yeah, I know I could. I'm like, do it for your students, okay? Because if you can get rid of one place, another place that they have to get in there and check, wow, big, big difference. K-Ray is asking, what are your thoughts on Teams? I'm assuming Microsoft Teams. My university wants us to use this for teaching. Well, you know, I had to use Microsoft Teams a couple weeks ago because I was giving a lecture to a bunch of teachers at a school district, and they had problems. So it was not easy. I think that I was okay, but they had another person that didn't have the best tech, and they had a problem. And so it's really, really important. Prof Terry is asking, why wouldn't you use Discord for storage? I think because Discord doesn't have individual folders where you can put things. And so what I usually would do is I would put something in Google Drive, cut and paste the link and then put it into Discord and say, okay, you guys can go over there. Because I know for students, they really liked having their own folder in Google Drive and saying, okay, this is where all my projects from the semester live. Because in Discord, I don't know that there's a way to really do that. If somebody knows, let me know. I have not seen that so far. Blue Wolf Spirit, thank you for the feedback. They are saying Teams is secure, but very kludgy to use, and I work in IT security. Okay, and they are saying if techies have trouble with Teams, that's kind of a problem, okay? And Gargi is saying, I like it, but the only issue is I can only see 9 students at once. Yeah, that's not a good thing. A lot of people have classes that are way bigger than that. Okay, so let's say you have these 4 platforms. Get rid of Zoom. You know why? Because in Discord, we have voice channels, and that's basically Zoom, but inside Discord. So get rid of Zoom if you can do that. Let's talk about generational gaps in internet usage, because again, this is also applicable no matter where you guys are teaching. And I would say for the most part, what I have observed is most faculty before the pandemic started were largely using Facebook, email, and Zoom was really the first platform that they were introduced to when we first got started in March with the remote teaching, okay? Guys, adults over the age of 40, I'm sorry to tell you, this is what, quote, the young people think about your platforms. Old and boring. Literally, like I asked my focus group of high school students the other day, what's your take on these platforms? That's literally what they said to me, okay? This is what the students use. They're on Snapchat, Discord, they're on YouTube an alarming number of hours a day, and they're on Instagram. This is a totally different set of languages. It's like the faculty are speaking German and the students are over here and they're speaking Russian, and we're going, well, where do we meet? How does that happen? Well, one thing I would consider, you guys, is that, again, this is different than the adults, the teachers, which is that most students, when they get content, they're going to see it on a phone first. This is the opposite. Like, I would much rather look at stuff on my laptop, but students, that's their first impulse, is to look at it on their phone. And so you have to remember that people are not going to see things large. It's going to be very small. And so that actually is really important. And you also have to ask yourself, is the app any good? Because you know what? There are some apps that really suck. And there are some apps that are really good and that people know really well. Like, for example, Madeline and also Neil, they are confirming that people use YouTube a lot, many hours a day. And so Neil and Madeline, I'm going to assume that you guys probably know how to use the YouTube app with your eyes closed, okay? It's not hard. And the thing is, the YouTube app, it's such a big platform that it has to be well run, okay? There are all these other weirdo learning management systems like Panopto, these places I never heard of. I just really don't have confidence that they have a great app, because if you just think about it, like Google, they have to have a good app. Like, they cannot have an app that's crashing all the time. That's a really, really bad thing. And so here's the thing, teachers. If you look at the scenario, all the confusion with the apps, okay, you can either, I mean, assuming that your district will let you do this, you can either have you as the teacher learn something that you don't know, which is a new app. Maybe you don't use YouTube very much. You don't really understand how it works. Or you could spend your whole semester nagging 40 students to please learn Panopto. That's what I'm using. And the students are going, ugh, I would so much rather just do it myself. It really would be much, much easier. Let's see. Mie is saying, my mother is using Schoology and Google Meet. She was ranting on how they made her take a course to use them, but not the students. So her first week was super bumpy. Exactly. And so the training is not consistent. Sometimes the teachers will get training on one thing, but then they don't tell the students. And then the students are left in the dust. So it's really a problem. Yeah, like Ron Nuck is saying, surprised to me that people find the YouTube app difficult. I spend up to 6 hours on YouTube. I think it's not difficult. I think it's just people don't know. I think a lot of the quote older people, I'm one of you, it's a lot of us don't use YouTube remotely as much. And so a lot of us are just not used to it. And here's another thing. I've also seen that a lot of teachers have a lot of assumptions that they have made, which oftentimes, to be honest, is not really based on any really hard evidence. A lot of people have misconceptions about, oh, well, because people perceive YouTube to be this way, it must be bad. Or Discord is for gamers. It must be a stupid platform. The thing is, you guys, it's not so much the platform. It's just you can use any platform really badly. You can also use it really well, okay? And so there is no platform, in my opinion, that is like always good for everybody and always bad for everybody, okay? Maybe one teacher, Discord is a great fit. Maybe if not, it's not really a good fit for the type of class that I'm teaching, and that's totally fine, you guys. Okay, it's just I would never write off a platform because you think to yourself, oh, people are gamers, therefore it must be a stupid platform. And I'm like, no, Discord is great. Yes, it is known for people using it for gaming and for fandom, but that does not mean it cannot be used well in the classroom. Let's talk really briefly about privacy, security, and reliability. And Blue Wool Spirit, thank you so much for schooling everybody on stuff. Blue Wool Spirit, you're great because you're in IT security, so we can really trust you to give people about this information. Now, there's so much talk about privacy, especially with public schools. I know they have to be very strict about that, and there's where the limitations are with the platforms and all that different type of stuff. The thing is, though, if you don't have those restrictions, and let's say your school is open to you using different platforms, just ask yourself, okay, which platforms are in the news for data breaches, security, and crashing? Everybody remember, I think it was yesterday that Zoom crashed for all of North America, and Facebook, hardly a day goes by that there is not some bad press for Facebook on the front page of the New York Times. And so people can make the decision on their own about privacy and security, but I want you to think about this because you know what? I have never seen stuff about security breaches on Discord on the front page of the New York Times. Facebook, another story. And teachers, I know you guys know Facebook. I know that is really clear and easy for you to use. Remember though, the students, they think it's old and boring, so you might want to reconsider Facebook. I also think teachers, no matter what you guys end up using for a group chat, and you should have something for a group chat, it's very important that you create spaces for socializing. Because like somebody said earlier, those opportunities to casually interact with your students, they're sort of gone now. And so we do have to find something to fill that gap. And so make spaces where people can socialize and talk about pizza. Make spaces where a student can give you feedback. Okay, students, you guys tell me this. Did you guys ever find a situation in remote learning last spring where your teacher was doing something and you thought to yourself, oh man, I know a way they could do that way better and faster, but you didn't say anything because you were worried it would come across as criticism and it would affect your grade? I think a lot of students know the YouTube app better. They know all these other platforms and they can figure things out for you. They can help you, okay? And so if you have a space that is set up for tech feedback, then the students know you're inviting that feedback. And number two, they can go in there and write something and say, hey, did you know that you can da-da-da-da-da? And then they don't feel like they're criticizing you, because I don't think the average student wants to go to the teacher and say, you know what? You're doing this in a really stupid way. I know a better way to do it. Most of us are not comfortable with that. So make that space for the students. Also, you guys need a place where people can dump stuff. I really scoffed about having a memes channel in the Art Prof Discord for a while. I'm not a fan of memes. Okay, I don't get it. I'm old, whatever. I know you guys like your memes. And so actually my husband, who got started he made the Discord for us here at Art Prof. And he's like, no, Clara, you need a memes channel. And I didn't get it. And then later on, I realized that that really is just the place to just put stuff. And what it ended up doing is it kept the other channels clean from all these distractions. And the people that like memes can go look at it. And the people like me who don't can ignore it. So whatever type of space you want to create for that is really, really good. So here's an example. Madeline is saying, I said something politely because I couldn't complete my assignment at all, and the teacher got mad at me. Yeah, like you want to prevent those situations because I think for the most part, students really are trying and they are limited as well. And it's very, very tricky to create spaces for that. Sarah is asking about Vimeo versus YouTube for demos. I would recommend, if you have the capacity to choose either one, use YouTube, okay? Because most people will know how to use the YouTube app. I think you survey any high school, middle school, college student, the likeliness that they have the Vimeo app on their phone is much lower. I think most people are using YouTube. And for that reason alone, I would use YouTube because then you don't have to explain to them how to use it. If you have Vimeo, you might have to explain it to them. They don't know it. And it's, oh my God, a whole other learning curve. And Ron Nook says, at times, I feel the teacher might be embarrassed if I say something. Yeah, that's totally true because the teacher is supposed to be authority. And if you're like, oh, you're doing this wrong, you don't want that to be really, really embarrassing for the teacher, for sure. And let's see, Kate is saying, I had some of the worst arguments, disagreements with my teacher, but I've grown so much because of them. Yeah, I mean, I think in a safe learning space, you should be able to be upfront with each other about different types of things. And hopefully everybody can be mature about it and not make it something that's too difficult. And Art Teach says teachers might have gotten upset because we literally had to learn all of this stuff overnight. Yeah, so if you already know how to use YouTube, there's nothing to learn overnight. You just use it. So yeah, no problem. Okay. And so what we have in Discord, just to illustrate what I mean by making these spaces, we have a social channel, we have a memes channel, we even have a channel for server feedback. And people do pop in there and they say things like, hey, can you make a channel for this? Or I'm wondering if this would be better. And I do not take it personally because I'm like, oh, they are genuinely trying to help us because we have made that space. Antonio was asking about Instagram live streams. The issue I have with Instagram live streams is that they disappear after 24 hours. You can put them into your Instagram highlights, but Instagram highlights are not easy to find because if they're too far back, they don't show up on the screen. And then the other problem with Instagram Live is you can't customize anything. Like in OBS and YouTube, you can have multiple cameras, you can add images. The Instagram Live setup is such that you can only show anything you point your phone at. So as far as creating customized layouts, you can't do that. And I think that is a problem. So hard to find that stream. Like if you have, say, 20 streams, students have to go like way, way back to find it. YouTube, you got playlists. It's much easier to find things. And let's see. Sarah's saying, I put demos on Vimeo because I like that there are no ads, keeps it clean, but more people use YouTube. Maybe I will do both. Yeah, I mean, you could, but then it's more work for you. I mean, it's up to you, however you want to do that. And let's see, Art Teach is saying other alternatives to YouTube. I mean, the biggest one is Vimeo. I'm guessing there are probably others, but those are the two that I think most people try to use. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about how students watch video, because you know what, students, I was horrified when I found out all this stuff. I'm an old fart. I did not know this about you guys because I just assumed that, oh, when you watch a video, you click play and you watch it from the beginning, okay? Now, granted, people watch videos differently, but these are the things that I discovered that I was like, oh my God, are you kidding? I had no idea. So, and students, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong in terms of some of these things. I have noticed that a lot of students do not start at the beginning. They actually watch the end, and I have started doing this too. Ever since students told, I was like, oh, that's kind of a good idea. They watch the end first, because they want to see what they're going to get out of it. And so if you're doing a demo, you're drawing a scratchboard drawing, they want to see, okay, what does that scratchboard drawing look like when it's finished? So I think that I can figure out if this video is actually worth watching. And so teachers, those of you, you're probably front loading your video with the important stuff there. It's actually the end. Like that's where you really need to put the very important stuff so people really understand what is going on in the video. Students, I don't know anybody who watches a video from beginning to end that is pre-recorded. People skim. I mean, I do it too. Like I'll just watch 10 seconds, jump ahead. I mean, sometimes if it's somebody who I like really love to death, like if it was David Lebovitz, who is a chef in France, I will watch anything he does because I just love him to death. But if you're not one of those people, people will skim your videos. This was a real revelation to me, you guys. And students, you can tell me if you do this. I didn't even know that you can listen to a video on YouTube at double the speed. And so teachers, if you're worried about awkward pauses and saying or ah, they're not going to hear it because when they're watching your tutorial, they're listening to it at double the speed. And so they're listening to you talking about painting. They're literally, oh my goodness, yep, see, Valerie is in the chat. They're saying they watched the video, but at double the speed. And so this is something that I discovered later on that really has had an impact in terms of how I think about things. Also, ultimately, I think most students will only end up watching pieces. They will very rarely watch from beginning to end, assuming that it's at a pre-recorded video. Yeah, and Madeline is saying, I put the video on the background. I watch it beginning to end. I can't stand how 2 times the speed sounds. Yep, so sometimes you guys are doing that. But also Zachariah is saying, sometimes you can open a transcript, skip to the parts that you need to answer a question. Yeah, so people are really picking and choosing. They're not watching the whole thing, teachers. So please make sure that you take this under consideration when you're making pre-recorded videos. Another thing that I saw more and more at the beginning of the pandemic, I'm seeing this a little less, which I think is good. A lot of teachers really were under the impression that they had to make all their own videos by themselves with no support and no training and usually no equipment. And they think that they have to pre-record the video so that they shoot the video separately of their hands doing whatever the demo is. Then they think they have to record a voiceover, and then they have to edit these things together and clip out the ums and make it cleaner and stuff. If you guys think about this, though, this is nothing like an in-person demo. It's so artificial. And I know that a lot of people are trying to replicate the in-person experience. This is not the way to do it, okay? This is like if you're a YouTuber and you're producing videos, if you're a teacher and you're doing remote learning, this is not the way to do it. It's very, very time-consuming, and it's not like real life. I would also say, teachers, avoid editing at all costs. Don't do it, okay? I am the biggest advocate for editing. Trust me, I've logged many hours on Adobe Premiere in my lifetime. But for remote learning, you guys don't have time, okay? I have time at Art Prof because Art Prof is not a school situation, and I take lots of time to edit my videos, but teachers don't do it. It's too much. And I know a lot of people will say, well, it's really simple. I just do it in iMovie. I'm like, yeah, but if you could get rid of that, why wouldn't you? Teachers are very stressed right now. People have so many things they need to do. Remote learning is more work. Cut back when you possibly can. Really, really important. Yeah, Art Teach is saying, I agree about editing. We have so much to do. Antonio is saying live demo is the way to go. And Eugene is saying, yep, so I relax now and just shoot. Very important to avoid editing. And also, teachers, don't reinvent the wheel. You will not shoot 20 live demos from scratch all the time. And well, not live demos. I'm talking about pre-recorded ones. There's no shame, you guys, in using other people's videos, okay? And I know a lot of teachers felt guilted into doing that because it's your classroom. You want to feel like you have your voice on it. But guys, it's unsustainable. You cannot pre-record 20 demos for the semester. Maybe you could do 5, but don't try to do it from scratch for everything. It's insane. So don't do that, okay? Because I know there's a lot of crap out there on YouTube, okay? It's like that on any platform you go to, but there is good stuff out there, okay? Smart History is a really good site. It's a free site. It's run by art historians. PBS has Art 21, which is really outstanding. So those are 2 excellent programs. They're free. And Art Prof, I know I'm just sort of some shameless self-promotion. We're free too, okay? And so if you have all these resources, why would you guys want to shoot your own scratchboard drawing tutorial when we have one that took us many months to edit, where we got a really pro scratchboard artist who really knows what they're doing? Why would you do that when you have one here? Now, what I would do though, is I would put your voice on the video, not literally, but in terms of contextualizing the video for the students, okay? And so what I mean by that, let's say you want to watch the watercolor video, give that to your students, okay? Either make an audio recording or write something down in a Google Doc and just explain the context for the video. So you can say to them, listen, in this tutorial, they do a really good job of explaining this, this, and this, but here is a technique in watercolor that I don't think that they've reviewed very well. And so instead, I would like you guys to do this. So it really is like your mark is on the video. Because I think what a lot of teachers don't want to do is be like, oh, just go watch this. Like that just feels lazy from a teacher point of view. So if you guys contextualize the video, it really, really makes a big difference. Great comments from students, by the way. Keep them coming. Madeline says, my art teacher used a lot of other people's videos, but it was still my favorite class. And Zachariah says, I love when teachers attach other videos. It gets a little boring when it's just them. Eugene is saying, do you know how many faculty members do this? I help design online math classes, and every math faculty member wants to create their own algebra video. Yeah, it's like there's so many good ones out there, and so many of them are free. Like Valerie saying Khan Academy for art history. The art assignment as well is another really good one. And so, yeah, it's really not important, you guys, to be producing all of these things totally from scratch. Okay. Another thing to consider is that in all of remote learning, no matter what you're doing, audio is more important than video. And I know this sounds weird, okay? Because you would think if it's a video and there's the visual, shouldn't that be the priority? It's not actually, you guys. Actually, what's most important is audio. Because think about it this way. If you guys are watching a video on YouTube and the video has beautiful visuals and it looks great, well produced, but the audio is bad, and it's like, there's like a static sound going throughout the video, you're going to turn it off because it's going to be a situation where you can't listen to that. It's impossible. But if you have a video where, let's say the visuals are, they're okay, maybe the lighting could be better, but it's watchable and the audio is good, you will watch it. And so remember that, because I think that a lot of people make the assumption that, oh, if it's video, it must be better. And I'm like, no, that is not the case. Do not make that assumption. For example, we have all heard the phrase Zoom fatigue. And I really think that's because Zoom is everybody on video, you really feel like you're glued to that laptop and it's exhausting. I think that's where it comes from. And this sounds really weird, but when I'm on a Zoom call, I look at myself. I swear, I'm not a narcissist. Like I just do that. And I don't look at the other faces. Like a lot of people say, oh, I want to see their faces. When I'm teaching, I'm not looking at Sarah's face. I'm not looking at John's face. I'm just trying to focus on what I'm talking about. And so it's really, really important. Also, guys, if you have a bad video, it backfires on you. Like, for example, my daughter was watching a demo that her art teacher was doing, and 75% of the video is the back of her head because she couldn't get a good camera angle. And so the part of the video that she needed to watch, which was her hands doing something, she couldn't see it. It was only like 10% of the video screen. You know what? My daughter turned it off, did not watch it. And so think about what a waste of time that is, because the teacher made the video and the student didn't watch it. Like, that's such a bummer, you guys. Yeah, isn't this weird? People are agreeing on a Zoom call. I look at myself. Madeline does the same thing. And Moses also says, same. I keep staring at myself doing this. It's exhausting. And so there was one time I was supposed to do a Zoom call with a student and her connection wasn't working very well. So I just said, okay, just give me a call. We'll just have a phone call. It was so easy, guys. Like, I just kicked back. I relaxed. I didn't worry about looking at her, what my hair looked like. It was so easy. And you guys who are younger don't remember this, but before the internet and everything, people actually called each other on the phone. And I used to talk to my friends in middle school for like 4 hours at a time. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, we would just be on the phone for hours and hours, and we never thought it was exhausting. I think it's because there's not that visual that you have to look at. All right. Another thing to consider is that, guys, making a video that's not terrible, it's actually really hard. I know that sounds weird because you would think to yourself, oh, but everybody has a phone and everybody has a video camera in their phone. It's so accessible now. Yeah, but it's hard to make a video that's like not horrible to watch. To make a video that is decent is even harder. To make one that is good is like really, really not a good idea. We have a question from AB Design. How do you deal with giving out your personal cell phone number? I'm a private person, don't want to give it out. I would not do this. This was actually with one of my RISD students, and she actually did house sitting for me the month before. And so it just happened to be that one student. It did not matter because I had that connection with her. But yeah, in general, you would have to figure out another situation. I mean, if I were teaching now, what I would do is use the voice channels in Discord. And so that would be fine. So yeah, you would need to figure out a situation so that that would not be the case. Yeah. So you have to have a backup. It's just, that was in March. We didn't have a backup for anything back then. So yeah. And so think about it this way, you guys. There is a power in audio that is not exhausting. Why do you think everybody listens to podcasts? Because they're relaxing, because they're easy, because you can sit and eat chicken wings and nobody cares. I mean, I'm sorry, teachers, but the students were doing that. They were watching Netflix. They were eating chicken wings. They were doing all those things. You thought they were paying attention. They were not. And so actually, it sounds very strange, but if you just tell them to listen, they will listen better than if they're on video. It's really strange, really, really confusing. Okay, the two things I am going to talk about specifically are OBS, because it's free and it's not a platform, okay? Know that. OBS, you have to connect it to something, or you can use it like a piece of software like Adobe Premiere. So just to clear that up, it's not YouTube. It's not like that. And I do want to talk about live video. Now, wherever you do live video, I know some people are using Zoom, some people are going to use Vimeo, some people use live video. These are best practices that you can use anywhere. Because live video, it is the closest you're going to get to being in person. And so that, for me, is compelling enough of a reason, but there's a lot of other reasons as well. And the thing is, you guys, you are definitely, if you're a teacher and you don't know anything about live video, you're going to scoff at it, because I did, okay? When I first thought about doing live video, I did not like the idea at all. Like, I gave myself so much pushback about it, because before I did live video, we were producing everything with Premiere. We were taking months to produce videos and they look all crisp and curated. And we still do that, but we don't produce them nearly as much. I mean, I would produce one of those like once every 2 or 3 months if I was lucky, because I had so many other things going on. But eventually I caved to live video because I realized I was not going to be able to put out the content, and it was unsustainable. Okay. So I reluctantly gave in to doing live video. And now I think it's the greatest thing ever. Okay. So if you guys are teachers and you're going, oh, live video, you're scoffing at it, that's natural. I did the exact same thing. Like, basically all the stuff I'm watching a lot of other teachers. I went through the same thing. I did all of it, but I had 6 years to figure it out, not 6 months. So very, very different. Antonio is saying, I read that OBS is not very friendly with Mac OS. Has anyone heard anything else? I have not heard that. I would try it and see what happens. It's not something I've heard across the board. So it could just be that you read it from a source that was really specific. So yeah, sorry, I don't know about that. So we were doing these very well curated, camera angle and shot on DSLR. Like we were doing that, but we can't do that for remote learning. We have to stream live. That is the way to get the engagement. Also, live video requires no editing. You just click stream, you go, and then you do end stream. It's fantastic. Here are some really great things about live video that you will not get with a pre-recorded video. The first thing is students can't skim, right? Like you guys who are watching live right now, you can't listen to me at double the speed. You actually have to listen to what I'm saying. Live interaction. I mean, you guys in the chat, I love talking to you in the chat. I love that you guys are having this whole other conversation about IT while I'm talking about this. This is, to me, the best part of live video, is getting to have that in live, really, this interaction. It's phenomenal. So I love that part of it. Also, when you stream live, if you do it on YouTube, you have the video available later on. And so people can go back and watch it. And I know a lot of you guys have. We have a lot of people that are going back, they're watching my live drawing demos, they're making those drawings, they're showing them to me. This is a win-win situation, teachers. You end up with both. And another thing to consider is, I think in general, with live videos, people are so much more forgiving, because I think sometimes with a pre-recorded video that's edited, it's like people's expectations are really different. Live video, I think that if I were to spill my coffee, I mean, would you guys judge me for that? Would you be like, oh my God, Clara, she spills coffee. What a terrible teacher. Like, nobody cares. On live video, these little minuscule things, when I flub my words, when I can't figure something out immediately, nobody cares. Like, tell me in the chat, are you guys judging me when I mess up? I sort of don't think so. And if you do, screw you, I don't care. So don't worry about this stuff, you guys. Pamela is saying, our college wants us to use Zoom, record our classes. I'm thinking of doing OBS for live demos, use Zoom for face-to-face and breakout rooms. Can you record in Zoom while doing an OBS live demo? What you could do is you could have OBS on your desktop and you could share your screen so people can see the OBS window. It's just your OBS window is not gigantic. And so the actual layout of the video where you're doing the demo, it's not going to be that big. That's the only thing that I would worry about. I mean, the other option is, no, I guess that wouldn't work either. Yeah, Zoom is just not good for live streaming. There's just too many limitations. And so, yeah, it's really tricky when the colleges have all these really strict guidelines about what you can or cannot do. But yeah, that's the quick and dirty solution, is just to screen share what you're doing in OBS, but there are limitations there for sure. Fluffy is saying, can you choose a cover pic like you do before you post a live stream after it's over? Yep, you can create a custom thumbnail in YouTube. You do have to verify your account though to do that. And don't worry, that's easy. It's just a couple steps. And this Sunday, I am going to do a live stream on how to live stream on YouTube, because there are really specific things that are really important. And yeah, like a lot of people here are saying, Moses says, no, we love you. You're human. Neil is saying, I loved it when Laura's screen was jumping. Yeah, that was a tech problem that we could not figure out before we started using StreamYard. And yeah, like Gargi saying at one point, Deepti's cat walked in with a cameo. This stuff does not matter, you guys. Nobody cares about things being so perfect. Okay. And Jessica is saying, I've watched videos of yours, but this is my first live stream. I love this live chat. We'll totally use this for your classes. Yeah, I'm going to talk about this later, but teachers, watch a live stream. you will see a lot that is very hard to explain to somebody, but when you experience it, it actually makes a lot of sense. All right, so one thing, let me tell you guys, I'm not going to take credit for this. You guys who watch us here at Art Prof, you guys invented this, which is what we're doing now, and we call them live draw-alongs. Because I always made the assumption that when I did these live drawing demos, all right, I would draw, I would show you guys things, and that would be it. But the thing is, I did not know that people were going to draw with me live during the demo. And basically what happened is that I would do these live streams and people would find out about them, and I would be showing everybody, talking and demoing, and I would answer questions in the chat. That all I knew was going to happen, and that's fine. And even it got to the point where I started shooting reference photos for people to download for free off of our Flickr account, because then we could all access the same reference photo, and that was a lot easier. And, you know, this is a great resource anyway, just to have for people to use. And some of you guys were so great and you said, can you post the supplies and the reference photos in advance? That was great, so people could get ready. And I did not know people were going to start drawing with me. And it was so cool. And people are saying in here, like Blue Wolf Spirit, love the draw alongs. Prof Terry, I'm totally going to get my students to draw along and then post in the Discord. And Ron Nook says, I love the live draw along sessions. So they are work. What I would just say, if you are going to run it, have times when you explain to the students, guys, I'm going to draw for a little while. I'm not going to look at the chat when I'm drawing because it's too confusing. Then what you do is you have times when you stop drawing and you can switch to another scene in OBS and you reply to the live chat. So you just stop drawing entirely, talk to people for like 10 minutes or so. And then what you end up doing is you alternate between drawing something and replying to the live chat. And I would say for most people, like an hour and a half is pretty good. I have done longer ones, but it depends on the age of your students. But guys, I love these, okay? I have so much fun doing these draw-alongs. And this is the coolest thing, is after the draw-along, everybody heads over to the Discord and we have a post-stream chat. It's like a party. It's so fun. You guys who have been to the post draw-along chats, tell the teachers who are watching right now what you like about those post-stream chats, why they're helpful, and why they're such an important extension of the draw-alongs for a lot of you guys who participate. So what a lot of people do, you go into the Discord and everybody posts the drawings that they made during the draw-along and you chat live because you're all there. And it's so fun. Like, that is genuine connection. I think this whole like post something somewhere, leave, check it later, like that is not fun. It's fun when people are there together live and talking all the time. Ron Nook is asking, would you say this is a continually evolving process? The more we're figuring out, the more we're making it easier and friendlier. Absolutely. I mean, you guys, remote learning, it's a work in progress. And every time you guys do one thing, you're going to realize, oh, we could do this too. Like that whole thing I was saying earlier about posting the supplies and the reference photos in advance. I wasn't doing that at first. Somebody suggested that to me and I was like, oh, that is really, really awesome. And Blue Wolf Spirit is saying it's really like being in an in-person class. It's very close, guys. So I really recommend teachers think about doing a draw along. And it doesn't have to be drawing. It could be painting. It could be anything you guys want it to be. So here's just a quick screenshot. This is what we do. We go into the Discord. And if you guys join the Art Prof Discord, which you should, because that's where all the cool kids hang out, you can go in and you can look at the channel and see how people are doing that. I do have a video on how to teach online with Discord. So if you guys want information, join the Discord because you want to be cool, right? But also we have so many channels for educators and I'm in there multiple times a day. I'm giving people support. You guys are supporting each other. It's really fantastic. So join the Discord. It's free. I think it'll really help you guys out a lot. And I would also say, you guys, learn the culture of live video. Tell me, you guys, those of you in the chat who are fairly new to live video, what was useful about actually attending one? Because you can read all you want about, oh, live video is so great, but until you actually go to a live video, you don't really understand what are the major benefits. So here's what I recommend to teachers. If you have not had a lot of experience watching live streams, watch other live streams. Do it, because you know what? I'm such an idiot. When I first started live streaming drawing demos, I just started doing it. And yeah, that's fine. But it never occurred to me to watch somebody else's live stream. Wow. When I started doing that, it was a whole new world. And I really figured out what works and what doesn't. Because you know what I started doing? I started observing my own behavior as a viewer. And that is something I did not do because I was the person streaming, right? And so there's actually this guy, Nick Nimmin, who I listen to on Saturday mornings. I am his biggest fan because he gives you YouTube tips. And I have to say, I credit him with why our YouTube channel is doing well, because he gives such good advice. And so what is really cool about it is I would observe what I did. So if I was listening to a live stream and all of a sudden I thought, ooh, I want to type something, I would say to myself, well, why? What got me to want to type something as opposed to before when I was doing the dishes and just listening? And I also would observe the chat. Like I would see, what are people saying in the chat? What are people reacting to? And he's so good because he would prompt the chat like I'm doing with you guys now. Like I'm saying to you, what do you like about live video? A lot of you guys are jumping in. Like Karen is saying, I love that I can post questions. Valerie says, it feels like I'm more present. Pre-recorded video seems more detached. I can just leave whatever. And Ranuk is saying real-time experience. See how it's done in front of your eyes. It's magical, real-time doubt clearing sessions. And Karen is saying the spontaneity, the fact that it's not edited gives you confidence. Yeah, and so many people will do other things. Like Neil used to do chores. I just stop and actually pay attention if I want to interact with the live chat. Yep, so this guy who I listen to on Saturdays, what I do is I just like clean the kitchen because like I hate doing that. And so listening to him live makes that a lot less painful. And also I get to listen live, which I totally love. And I am bummed when I miss the live. That's another thing is people started saying to me when I was streaming live, they would be like, oh crap, I missed the live. And I am not kidding you guys. When I first started streaming, I would always be like, why? Like, why does it matter if you, like, I honestly did not understand. And then when I started watching this other guy, I was like, oh, that's why, because I started feeling the same way. I started saying, crap, I missed it. I really wish I could watch it live. So really, really important. Also, watch how people interact. I think you guys are having like a little party in the live chat. So it's just really, really fun, you guys. There's so many rewards to reap from live streaming. Okay, I'm not going to show you guys how to use OBS. I'm just going to show you what the features are. And then later on, you can go watch the video where I do walk you through step by step exactly how to use it. So OBS has two purposes. And remember, it's not an online platform. It's a piece of streaming software, like Premiere is a piece of software, Illustrator is a piece of software, okay? You can use it to stream live, or you can pre-record a video. And so I know a lot of people are saying, oh, well, I record video in Zoom or in Google Meets. That's fine, but OBS is so much easier and faster. So let me show you guys how you can do that. I mean, basically you like click start, you click stop, and then you click one thing and then boom, there's your video file. That's it. And then you take the file and you upload it anywhere, YouTube, Vimeo, whatever you guys are using. So if you want to record a demo, I don't recommend doing it in Zoom because OBS is so much more flexible and it's like 4 clicks to produce that video file. You can create and save customized video layouts. So the layout at the top is one I use for the anatomy lectures. The one on the bottom is I use for the live streaming, and I save them. And it's literally, I just click on it and it's there. And I can also switch between the layouts during the same live video, literally 1 click, okay? And so it's so, so nice. You can't do this in Zoom. In Zoom, you are limited to very particular layouts. You can do anything here. And you can add different sources. You can add pictures. I can even play a short video clip or a long one. I can add a timer. I can do screen capture. I can add a browser page, a million things that can happen. So you can have multiple cameras. I usually have a webcam that shows what I'm actually drawing. And then I put the laptop camera on my face. And you could have as many cameras as you want. If you have 15 webcams, you could have 15 camera views. It's like totally however you can do it. You guys can also crop the video. You can make it shorter. You can, whatever size you want, you can drag it around. A million things that you guys can do. Prof Terry says, I'm concerned it will take a critical mass of people watching to get good interactions and responses like here. My class will have 15 max, and of course, some won't show up live. For sure. I mean, what we have here, it's not like a classroom because we have like right now there's 49 people watching, which is actually low for us. Usually we have like 100, 150 people. So it's not the same thing. But I do think one advantage you have as a teacher is that students really will be acknowledged. Okay. Like sometimes you guys, it drives me crazy that there's so many people in the chat. I can't get to everybody, right? I try to, but inevitably there's always people that get not acknowledged and it bums me out. But Professor Terry, if you only have, let's just say that one day a couple people skipped out, you only have 12 students, you guys will notice that even if I didn't show comments, I would still say, Neil says, Francois says, Karen says. That's what gets people to pay attention. Because you know what? When I listened to that live stream guy, Nick Nimmin, on Saturday, he takes questions. Okay. And he has so many followers that the likeliness that you'll get picked is so low. But I did get picked once. And I used to think, like, why do people care? And I was like, whoa, he picked my question. He said Art Prof. Like, I was like totally so excited about that. And so, Prof. Terry, what you can do, say, so-and-so says in the chat, blah, blah, blah. And then that will make them pay attention. They will want to stick around. Like Francois says, I'd love to listen to you live more often, but evening streams are too late. Yeah, and so I'm really trying to stream at different times for that reason. And Blue Will Spirit is saying, when you start putting up people's messages, people will join just to be seen. I know, it's fun, isn't it? You're like, whoa, my icon is on the stream. And so Professor Terry, try that. That might really help you. You can add images. You can resize them. You can put them on top of each other so that they're layered. You can also do window capture. So I have a timer and I just Google timer and I do window capture and I just crop it. So all you can see are the numbers. So the world is your oyster, you guys, when you have OBS. You're not going to get this in Zoom. And so the other way to use Zoom, if you don't want to pre-record, not Zoom, the other way to use OBS to stream live is you can connect it to your YouTube channel. And I do explain that in this tutorial. So I show how to use OBS, I explain all the features, and then I show you how to hook up OBS to your YouTube channel. I'm not going to do that now because we have all these other things to talk about. The demo setup, again, really broad range because everybody has different equipment, everybody has a different space. So I'm not going to go over equipment right now, but I can tell you some things you need to try to achieve with your setup. Flexibility. I've seen a lot of setups where people have constructed like some big wood thing, and that's fine, but it's like, what happens when you want to make a bigger demo? Or you have a smaller demo? It's like, that's not very adjustable. And so whatever you guys choose, flexibility, you have to be able to adjust. You have to be able to, oh, go this way, go a little bit that way. If things are just so rigid and you can't make those physical adjustments, it's really, really difficult. You need space. I remember the first time I set up for a drawing demo, I did not do a good job. And I ended up like drawing like this. I was like so cramped. I just felt like I couldn't do the demo. And so you need that like physical space to be able to move around without knocking over your mic stand. And again, should accommodate different work. So if you want to do an 18 by 24 drawing, You want to be a 7x5 drawing, whatever. That's very important. I'm not going to go over this, but I do review the physical setup, the individual items. I do talk about equipment. It's all in this video. And I do have a chart that's on artprof.org. These are all pieces of equipment that I do recommend. There's images and links. There's even stuff that I think you guys should not buy. So take a look at that, and I'm happy to answer questions somewhere else. And Karen is saying, I was so happy when I could have my most pressing art questions answered in my first live stream. Yeah, it was during one of those Q&A office hours, and those are also really important to do if you can as a teacher. Home art supplies. Oh God, art teachers, this just breaks our heart, doesn't it? This is, for me, the most painful part of remote learning is the lack of supplies. So this is really hard because basically, you know what I feel like is going on? I was trying to think of an analogy. It's sort of like the teachers are being told, guess what? We're going to send you to the Olympics and you're going to be a skier there. And we're going, yay, I'm going to the Olympics. And then the school districts say, but you know what? You don't get a coach and you got to pay for all your own gear. And, oh, by the way, can you teach this class of kids? And they don't have skis. And we're all going, what? What? Really? This is really what they're essentially asking the teachers to do. And I know many teachers are paying for equipment out of their own pocket. And the kids don't have anything either because we can't make assumptions that everybody has access to a pair of skis. And so this is really, really hard. So this is what I'm going to recommend to teachers. Use photos. Use the ones from Art Prof. We have tons of them on our site. Show the potential of a household item, because what I've seen in a lot of the Facebook groups, people are helping each other out, and that's great, but people are making lists. So a lot of people have said, well, what household items can I use? And so people are like, mustard, balsamic vinegar, Kool-Aid, all these things. And that's cool. But until you see a picture of what Kool-Aid looks like, you don't really know what the potential is. So show photos. It is really, really important. We have a whole chart of household items. I mean, actually, balsamic vinegar is really pretty. I mean, you can make these mosaics. You can draw with dandelion. There's all this cool stuff. Use our resources. They're free. They're there for you guys. So you don't have to make your own from scratch. Also, I think online project examples really matter, because if people don't have a visual of what something can look like, it's hard to really get excited and stimulated about it. So this is actually the art dare for this month, which is to make a mosaic from anything. And tell me in the chat, those of you guys who are doing the art dare, did it help you to see these examples? Would the art dare have felt different if I just verbally explained it to you? If I just sent you a text that said, make a mosaic out of a household item? Then you guys are going, yeah, that sounds so. But you see the pictures, it really changes how you see the project. Antonio is asking, do you have any resources for royalty-free photos you can share when demonstrating drawing? We do have the Art Prof Flickr, which is reference photos. I'm letting people use them for free, whatever you want to use them for. But there's other sites, like I think there's like Pexels and there's a couple other ones. So you just got to make sure you type in royalty-free, because of course you don't want to get into copyright issues. And Neil is saying the project examples makes us feel that the art dare is actually doable. Yep, that's a huge part of the projects. And Art Teach is saying examples are really important, help a great deal. Yeah, so this is a project I used to do where you make a sculpture out of styrofoam cups. And when you see these, you go, oh, cool, I didn't know you could do it that way. And it gets you very excited. Also, show multiple stages of development. If you have the kids making sketches for their styrofoam sculpture, show them the sketches, show them the sculpture. All these examples are fantastic. Show the process. You tell the students, hey, try painting with a comb, show them that texture. Now look at this. If I'm a teacher, students, picture I give you this. I just send you a message in Discord. Try drawing with a twig. And you go, okay, sure. But then if I do this, you look at this and you go, whoa, cool. I want to do it now. At least that's my example. I don't know. Maybe you guys aren't that excited about a twig, but I am. Same thing if I say make a sculpture out of aluminum foil and you have no visual, it's really hard to get excited. But then you look at the example and you go, whoa, I can do all these cool things. So this really is about hunting down and seeing and showing the potential in all of these art supplies. And so teachers use these resources because I think this is what really inspires people. Like this is a project where I said, okay, make a whole series of toilet paper sculptures. Each sculpture is a single piece of toilet paper. And I looked at these examples, I was like, whoa, I didn't even think about like twisting it like that. She told me she actually wet it with water, which I thought was super cool. And then also we have this video on tips for a home studio. This is very helpful because sometimes that's not always the easiest thing to figure out. Let's talk about critiques because I did do a video in March about how to do online critiques, but you know what? I've changed my mind. There are a couple things I did when I taught at RISD last spring that I would not do anymore because they were not as effective as some of the systems that we have come up with now. So let me show you the ways that I'm going to recommend doing critiques, again, regardless of the platform you're using. If you can, and this really depends on how many students you have. I know some people have too many students, but if you can, try to have a one-on-one call with your students maybe once a month, okay? Maybe not, maybe you can only do it twice a semester. That's okay. But this is very important for the students to feel that you're paying attention to them, that you're really seeing their needs. And honestly, make this a audio call, okay? You don't have to use your cell phone. You could do a voice call within Zoom. You can do it within Discord. I think just keep it to audio so, again, it feels more relaxed. I think on video, people get a little bit stressed out. I would also say live group calls. So if you're having a discussion, if you guys are doing a live demo with the students, what I would recommend if it's a talking thing, I would, number one, limit 4 to 6 students per call, because when you have 30 people on a group call, it's insanity. You don't want to do that. Limit to 1 hour. Guys, students are done after an hour. I'm done after an hour. Tell me, you guys in the chat, what is your limit for being in a call as a student, like where you really have to pay attention? Like right now, you guys are not being graded, so it's a little bit different. But if you were a student and you're in a group call, what is your attention span? For me, it's an hour. It's so short, you guys. Like I just cannot do it. This is different because it's a live stream. It's not a call. I'm not talking to students. It's a very different thing. And so what I would do for the group calls, put the students on audio, put yourself on video. And the reason I'm saying this is because, again, give the students the way to eat their chicken wings, kit back, have bad hair. That's fine. They will pay attention more than if you ask them to be on video. And a lot of students are very concerned about privacy and where they live and what they look like. Very, very important. Suzanne is asking how much time for a private critique. That's really up to you. I think a lot of teachers maybe do not have the capacity to do that because they have too many students. But if you are lucky enough to have a class that's fairly small and you can do a one-on-one critique with a student, I totally would. I just didn't want to make the assumption that everybody could do that. And Fluffy is saying, do you like a full class of 24 on Discord? I think if you're like announcing stuff, that's okay. But if you're having like a discussion or critique, I would never have 24 kids on a call if I could help it, because it's so many kids that they just tune out. When I had classes of 4 to 6 students at RISD on a call, they paid attention. They had to. There were so few of them, it was impossible for them to just check out. So that's one of the reasons I say 4 to 6 students per call. And yeah, Moses is saying limit hour 20 minutes. Probably college students are fine. Some high school students, not middle school. And Blue Wolf Spirit says, with so many students, either everybody tries to talk or nobody talks. Yeah, neither situation is good. So you want to limit the students and the length. And Sugar is saying 1 to 2 hours anymore. I stop participating and lurk and do other things. Students are like, yeah, I was playing Animal Crossing. I'm like, I would too if I was in a group call of 24 students and nobody's paying attention to me. So limit those calls. Also, I think there should be ongoing group chat critiques throughout the week. So that way people can post their stuff and maybe you say, oh, this project is due on Wednesday. People critique the pieces. And so this is where in the group chat, I would use Discord, post the stuff, have people type things. Really, really great to do that. Suzanne is asking, what do you think about breakout rooms in Zoom for group critiques? High school, ask for feedback to check they make the most of the session. Honestly, Suzanne, I'm sorry to tell you this, the students don't focus during those breakout room sessions. If you're not there, they're gossiping, they're talking about movies. That's what the students told me in the spring. They were like, yeah, we just don't do anything. So I don't think those are a good idea. I think that a better thing would be to do those short calls, 1 hour, 4 to 6 students. I mean, it's longer for you, but the thing is, it's like, I have not seen that the breakout rooms are that effective. Maybe if you have a really good disciplined class, you could pull that off. But I think most teachers don't have a class with that level of discipline to trust that they would actually make good use. Because a lot of students, what I ended up hearing from them was, oh yeah, that was a total waste of time, what I just did on that Zoom call. And it's like, that's a bummer, right? If it's like, they had to be on the call, but they weren't actually doing anything. Like, that's not a good thing, guys. Yeah, you guys, these hand drawings are Neil's. I hope you don't mind. I didn't think you would because it's in a sort of public place anyway. Okay, so the other thing I would do, again, if you can, have live office hours. Best to do it once a week if you can. If you can only do it every other week, that's okay too. But it's basically time where you just say to the students, guys, on Tuesday from 11 to 12, I'm going to be just hanging out in the Discord and I will be on video and you guys can drop in on audio and just show me stuff, talk to me stuff, whatever. And what I usually do is I have a companion channel that is only for text and images. And so if a student wants to talk to me, they come to the text channel and they say, hey, are you free? Because if I'm in the voice channel with another student, you don't want to like interrupt them. So that's why if you have a voice channel in Discord, you accompany it with a text channel, and that is really helpful. So teachers, if you want to know how to use Discord, this is the video to watch. And I do really recommend that you guys join our Discord because we're the best. And you want to observe, like, what is a good, safe space that's moderated, that has people that are dedicated and thoughtful? What does that look like? What does the rhythm feel like in the conversation? So, for example, we have voice channels in Discord. These are only for Patreon subscribers, though. So in a classroom, it would be a different thing for sure. But we also have so many critique channels that are super fun. And remember, on artprof.org, we have consolidated all of our online teaching content in this new section called Teaching and Learning Art Online. And the section's getting big. We have so many more resources, and there are basically 6 sections. There's one section on equipment, tips for teachers, home art supplies, that big chart I was talking about. There is a whole page that has prompts that all can be used for remote learning. That means minimal supplies, or they're projects that are more content-based, so you can do any supplies. Whole section on online critiques and tips for art students, because I know you guys can use some support for online learning as well. So I encourage you guys to check that out. Obviously, we're here on YouTube, we're streamed live almost every single day. Today, we're doing a double header, which is crazy, but super fun. And remember, we have so many videos. There's one on hybrid learning, mistakes to avoid. This is a cool video. Teachers, I would watch this one. This is 3 tips for teaching art online from students. I gained so much insight when I interviewed these 2 students. They told me so many things I would never have figured out. And this is way back in March, when I had less experience and didn't really know exactly what people needed. Discord, and we also have a Discord server template for you teachers, which basically saves you 10 hours of setting up your own server from scratch. Basically, you download the template, you change a couple names, and you're ready to go. So I recommend this. And Art Prof has a podcast. We are available on Spotify, also on iTunes. We would love it if you guys would leave us a rating and a review. Please join us on Discord. I will be over there in about 5 minutes. I am going to be hanging out in the post live streams channel. And the invite link is in the video description below if you'd like to join. Subscribe to our channel and join the Art Prof family here on YouTube. And thank you so much to our top Patreon supporters who make all things possible here, keep our lights on. Thank you to everybody in the live chat, students, teachers. This is such a great way for us to have a conversation because ultimately we're all in this together. We're all trying to help each other. And so everybody, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.